Now, introducing 6'9", 394-pound professional rambler, Lucas James, and your host, 5'10", 170-pound podcaster, Tristan Pitford. Let's go. This podcast will be a part 2 to the previous episode, and we'll be talking about the predictions for the rest of the awards and the predictions for Gold Glove Awards.
Just a little bit of a recap here. Our Cy Youngs in the American League, I had Carlos Rodon, you had Robbie Ray. In the National League, I had Max Scherzer, you just had Walker Buehler, as you said. The MVPs in the American League, we both agreed on Shohei Ohtani. In the National League, I said Bryce Harper, you said Juan Soto. And now we're moving on to our next topic, which is going to be the Rookie of the Year, and we are going to start with the National League.
All right, for my National League Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Trevor Rogers from the Miami Marlins. I think he had a fantastic season, as he had many strikeouts and had nasty stuff. He had 133 innings pitched with 157 strikeouts, 158 ERA plus, 10.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. And last year in 2020, he had a few appearances, and we saw that he had the potential to strike people out, and he had the stuff. And this year, he put it all together for a great season.
Yeah, Trevor Rogers, and not only just Trevor Rogers, but that Miami starting rotation is really good.
They've acquired some really good prospects over the years.
And they picked up, was it Jesus Luzardo they picked up in the Starling Marte trade?
Yep.
It's that's also another
that was a
really
top
good
prospect for the A's.
Yeah, let me tell you, those Marlins, if they can put it, it's the Marlins, of course, so you never know. But I'm telling you, if the Marlins can keep it together, I think they can be a really good team coming up.
They could be like the Brewers this year, maybe even as much as even next year. They could be that team.
Really,
having
because
really good Cy Young candidates, but kind of
they have
a bad
a solid
offense.
Yeah, they have a solid bullpen. Even with the offense, I mean, they had Starling Marte, but they traded him. But yeah, still, Trevor Rogers definitely had a really, really good year. But my pick, kind of basic, but I'm going with Jonathan India from the Cincinnati Reds.
Yep.
Jonathan India, he's been a really, really good leadoff hitter for the Cincinnati Reds, despite the fact that they didn't make the playoffs, even though a lot of teams thought that they had a chance. Especially I thought the Reds had a good chance to make the playoffs.
They looked good early in the season.
Yeah, until the Cardinals just absolutely caught fire. I mean, 21 home runs, 69 RBIs, nice. He had 12 stolen bases, an OPS of 835, an OPS plus is 113, which makes him an above-average hitter. And I just think getting that production, and he also, not only that, but he played a really good second base for the Reds as well.
Yeah, that was a very solid season by him, and I think these two will be close in the race, so we'll see who comes on top.
Yeah.
So for our next award, we got the AL Rookie of the Year. And
I'm interested with who you go with here because it's kind of a toss-up right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of good candidates, and I don't necessarily think he'll win because the other guys just have better seasons, but I'm going to go with Wander Franco.
Wander Franco. That's an interesting one.
He has been – everyone's been waiting for him to get called up. He's been one of the highest prospects on the Rays for a while now. And he's a young guy that in the second half of the season just took off. And he had that on-base streak where
he got on base. It was double-digit games where he was getting on base.
Yeah. So here are some of his stats when getting called up. In his first 27 games, he had a 220 average, a 283 on-base percentage, a 349 slugging, and a 632 OPS with a 20% strikeout rate. That wasn't good, but, it was his first time getting called up. What did you expect? But then he figured it out. In his next 27 games, he had a 327 batting average, a 390 on-base percentage, a 533 slugging percentage, to total with a 923 OPS. And the great news is he only had a 7% strikeout rate. He decreased his strikeouts. He got on base, got more walks. His hitting increased, and that just made him great. So I just think he deserves that for how young he is to win Rookie of the Year, even though he probably won't because he's going against – because Randy Arozarena is still qualified for this award somehow.
Make much sense because I remember a couple years ago he played for the Cardinals in the postseason. That's interesting. I don't know how he still qualifies for it, but I do think Wander Franco would qualify for it, the award next year too.
Probably,
I think. So he very well might win it next year. My pick, I'm going with Luis Garcia from the Houston Astros.
He's been great.
Yeah, we've seen him. We've actually seen him pitch in just the World Series recently. He's thrown a couple innings. He's been all right. And just a little look at the numbers here. In 2021, he has a 2.6 WAR, 11 wins, 8 losses. Even though honestly, pitching record doesn't really do much nowadays because of how heavily bullpens are used. He has an ERA right at 3.3. Through 155 and 1/3 innings, he had 167 strikeouts, which puts him at a WHIP of 1.172. He has a strikeout to walk ratio of 3.34. Strikes out about 10 batters per inning, walks about 3, gives up around 1 home run and 7 hits. He has a good strikeout rate. He has a really good strikeout rate. His ground ball rate is really good. His ground ball to fly ball ratio was really good, and he's also in pitcher's standings, he also has pretty decent reflexes. He just has some really, really nasty stuff. And I think that Luis Garcia, he's been a very big part of this Houston Astros pitching rotation that's been pretty good all year. Despite losing Justin Verlander, he's been one of those guys that have stepped up, and I think he'll get the award, or at least I want him to.
Yeah, I like that pick, and we also have to mention Adolis Garcia and Randy Arozarena, 2 former Cardinals.
Yeah.
And, I bet Randy Arozarena will probably win it, as I just said.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't want to pick him just because he doesn't feel like
it's
a rookie
basic,
anymore.
and he's been in the league since 2019.
Yeah, it's just the amount of games because the Cardinals didn't play these 2 guys, and then they eventually traded them. Yeah. And it seems like every guy the Cardinals trade just turns out to be really good somehow.
Well, with the exception of like Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver hasn't been very good.
He's been hurt, but I think he still has the potential.
He does, yeah.
So Adolis Garcia, he was probably the favorite about like halfway through the season. He was having a monster season, then he just fell off. So,
which I think I think part of that just has to do with being on the Rangers, especially after the Rangers traded any player that was halfway decent besides him. I think that partly has to do with the team he was on. But I think realistically speaking, Randy Arozarena will win. But I would like Luis Garcia to win, and I think that Wander Franco would be a good pick for next year.
Yeah,
even though he did have a good rookie year.
So for the Rookie of the Year, to recap, I had Wander Franco for AL, you had Luis Garcia for AL, and I had Trevor Rogers for NL, and you had Jonathan India.
Yes.
So we will see how that plays out.
And now we will talk about the Gold Gloves. All right. So I think first off, just starting with the American League. The pitchers for Gold Gloves are just kind of interesting. They're Jose Barrios, Dallas Keuchel, and Zach Greinke. I'm going to pick Zach Greinke just because I know Zach Greinke. He's won the award 6 times. He has 5 defensive run saves, which for a pitcher is pretty decent. And it's just with Zach Greinke out there, it's like you have another defensive player. It's like you have another fielder on there, which is something that you really don't get with a pitcher very often. But the way he can snag comebackers and things like that, and just how smart he is, it's really helpful to his team.
Yeah, looking at this stat here, 12 defensive runs saved for Dallas Keuchel. I think that's what's just going to give him because it says it leads all pitchers, and I don't know what other stat is going to get you a Gold Glove. So it's probably I'm going to pick Dallas Keuchel.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right, so catchers, Martin Maldonado, Sean Murphy, and Salvador Perez. I know some people are not happy with Salvador Perez up there, especially a lot of those really annoying analytics people. They are not happy with Salvador Perez being a finalist, but Salvador Perez throws out runners at a decent rate, but they like to always bring up frame rate, which is kind of dumb. But Salvador Perez has won it 5 times, Maldonado's won it a couple times, and Sean Murphy is also a solid catcher. I'm going to go with Martin Maldonado here. He led all catchers. He threw out 19 runners this year. And you threw out 19 runners, and he also saved +8 runs with his framing. So I think that is I
don't really see Perez as much of a defender. I think most people look at his offensive numbers. So I'm going to go with Sean Murphy here, who was second in defensive runs in the AL and tied for first, and with +8 runs saved from pitch framing.
Mm-hmm. That's a good pick. Now first base, Yuli Gurriel, Matt Olson, and Jared Walsh. Again, Jared Walsh doesn't really come off to me as a defensive first baseman. Yuli Gurriel, he's pretty solid. But I think this one's kind of easy. Matt Olson, he's won it the past couple years. Yeah, I think Olsen, he's just a really, really solid first baseman, and I think.
I didn't even think Yuli Gurriel was much of a defender.
Yeah,
I
me
didn't.
too.
I didn't really see him as, but I guess he had a good season this year. But I'm just gonna stick with Matt Olsen, the guy that we've known for years is a great defender at first base.
All right, moving on to second base now. We have David Fletcher, Whit Merrifield, and Marcus Semien. David Fletcher winning Gold Glove wouldn't surprise me that much. But Whit Merrifield did lead all the AL second baseman with 14 defensive run saves, which, I mean, that's really good. Merrifield, he only had a +6 OAA, while David Fletcher had 9. So I think that I think David Fletcher will take it. I think they'll give it to David Fletcher, especially for the memes.
Yeah, I think Fletcher's kind of guy that is just the old school guy. He plays defense. He's a contact hitter. He doesn't strike out much, and he's a good leadoff hitter for the Angels. And yeah, I like his stats right here, and I think that's what's going to propel him to the top. But you got to give credit to Merrifield and Semien for great seasons.
Oh yeah, everyone on here honestly has had a good defensive season. So that's kind of where it gets really tough to choose. Now third base, to me this is kind of obvious. Matt Chapman, Jose Ramirez, and Joey Wendell. Matt Chapman is just absolutely insane defensively.
Yep.
He's won the Platinum Glove in the American League 2 times now. He's won them back-to-back. Matt Chapman is just so good at third base that, to me, this really isn't much of a contest.
Yeah, it's like the Olsen thing. Them two have been doing it forever. They're at the hot corner and first base.
In Oakland, too.
Yeah. And we'll see how long those two stay together in Oakland, but I think it's definitely Chapman.
Yeah, now we're going over to shortstop. Carlos Correa, J.P. Crawford, and Andrelton Simmons. I think, looking at the numbers here, defensive run saves, Carlos Correa has the lead. And honestly, Andrelton Simmons is second, J.P. Crawford's third. I just think, looking at a lot more of these defensive runs saved and just all other stats, I think Carlos Correa is the clear favorite. I do love Andrelton Simmons, though. He's a personal favorite player of mine. Watched him play in August. But still, Andrelton Simmons has taken a bit of a step back defensively with this glove, and Carlos Correa had a really good year.
Yeah, it just looks like this was a career year defensively for Correa, and it looks like he's pacing all the shortstops by a lot in defensive runs saved, and that's what's just going to win him the award here.
Mm-hmm. Now we're going over to left field. We have Randy Arozarena, Andrew Benintendi, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Now, this is actually kind of difficult because normally I would just take Alex Gordon. But Alex Gordon is no longer around, so I don't know who to pick now. But Randy Arozarena, I know he's pretty athletic, and I know that the league is big fans of Randy Arozarena, so I think that he'll win it.
Yeah, this says that they all tied for defensive runs saved, but Lourdes Gurriel, had more assists, so I got to give it to him.
All right, so now we're going to center field. Which is Kevin Kiermaier, Miles Strauss, and Michael A. Taylor. Kevin Kiermaier is just amazing defensively. He did have a comment earlier in the year where he said he was the best defensive outfielder in baseball, which, I mean, honestly, I think he is.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think
definitely could be.
I think he's up there, and then so I'm just going to give it to him this year.
Yeah, I got to go with KK too. He's been insane over the last few years, just like the Chapman and Olsen thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be the favorite.
Yeah. Now going to right field, Hunter Renfroe, Kyle Tucker, and Joey Gallo. I despise Kyle Tucker. I think Kyle Tucker is one of the most overrated players in baseball. Joey Gallo is kind of up there too, but Joey Gallo actually has a pretty good glove. And Hunter Renfroe, to me, just isn't really much of a hitter. So I'm going to go with, I don't really know, honestly. This one's kind of tough, but just looking into some of the numbers here, I'm going to go with, I'll go with Joey Gallo.
Yeah, I'm going to go Joey Gallo too. I just think he's more of a – he's improved over the last couple of seasons, winning it last year, and I think he's been very good this year again.
Now just a quick recap of what we had. Pitchers, I had Greinke, you had Keuchel. Catchers, I had Maldonado, you had Murphy. First base, we both had Olsen. Second base, I believe we both had Fletcher. Third base, we both had Chapman. Shortstop, Correa. Left field, I had Arozarena, you had Lourdes Gurriel. Center field, both had Kevin Kiermaier. And in right field, we had Joey Gallo.
Yep.
Now going to the National League. For the pitchers, we have Zach Davies, Max Fried, and Zach Wheeler. Again, there's not really much with the pitchers here. It's just that Fried and Davies, they both tie for defensive runs saved. The league likes Max Fried more than Zach Davies, and I also despise Zach Davies, so I'm going to go with Max Fried.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Max Fried as well. Not much to say here. I don't know much about how they decide pitchers defensively, but I like Max Fried better than Zach Davies, so I'll go with him.
Catcher, Yadier Molina, of course, JT Realmuto, and Jacob Stallings. Now, just looking at the numbers, I think like here, even though JT Realmuto, he's been really good for the past couple years, and Yadier Molina, who is arguably the greatest defensive player of all time, he's definitely taken a step back though because he's getting older. So I mean, Jacob Stallings like trumps both of those guys in pretty much all statistics.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
So, as much as we're both Cardinals fans, as much as I'd love Yadier Molina to win, it's clear Jacob Stallings has the better numbers. So,
yeah. Looks like although Molina and Realmuto have had great track records of being great defensive catchers, it looks like Stallings just had a better season this year.
First base, Freddie Freeman, Paul Goldschmidt, and Max Muncy. Max Muncy has never come off to me as a defensive player, but clearly he leads, and he has a +7 OAA. His defensive run saves are decent, so I'm going to go with Max Muncy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Max Muncy as well, just because of the stats. Although Freeman and Goldschmidt have had years of great defensive seasons, again, I think it's like the Molina Realmuto thing. Max Muncy just had a better season this year, so gotta give it to him.
Now, second base, Ozzie Albies, Tommy Edman, and Colton Wong. Another Cardinal gets in there. That's the third in a row. Colton Wong, he's won the last two in a row, and I think he'll win the third. Just pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Colton Wong as well. I've liked Colton Wong for years and hoping he's win Gold Gloves, and now he has a chance to win another one. I just think I didn't really see Tommy Edman as much as a defender, and I just think Colton Wong's better than him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He might. I mean, the stats may disagree, but Colton Wong's just a better defender, I believe, than Tommy Edman.
Tommy Edman, he replaced Colton Wong as that Cardinals' everyday second baseman, and he's done a good job filling in. But it's hard to match Colton Wong's defense. Now here, third base. Again, to me, this really isn't much of a contest. Nolan Arenado, Manny Machado, Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon's had a good year. Manny Machado's in the conversation every single season. But Nolan Arenado is just so amazing defensively that it's hard to really say any third baseman is better than him.
Yeah, he's just won it so many years in a row. Just every year since he's been in the league as a rookie, he's won it.
8 in a row, and I think he'll make it 9.
Yeah, he's gonna win. I really like Arenado, and he's just been insane for the Cardinals defensively.
And I think he'll continue to. Now for the shortstop, Brandon Crawford, Francisco Lendore, and Kevin Newman. Brandon Crawford, he's taken a couple steps back, but this year was just really just a renaissance for him in general, and so that's why I think he'll win.
Yeah, I think it's going to go to Lendore here. I think he's always been a great defender over in Cleveland and moving to New York. I mean, he disappointed in terms of offense, but I think his defense was still elite, and I think that's going to give them the award here.
He still had a good glove. Now in left field is Tyler O'Neill, David Peralta, and A.J. Pollock. David Peralta surprisingly had a really good year. A.J. Pollock, I believe he won a Gold Glove in center field, which, he always had been like a center fielder to me, but after coming over to the Dodgers, they kind of moved him over to the corner outfield. Tyler O'Neill is pretty athletic, and he has a really strong arm, and he also won it last year. But a bit of a Cardinal bias maybe. I'll go Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, I think I'm going with that Cardinal bias as well. I think O'Neill's just at this point in their careers, O'Neill's the younger guy. He's faster, he's more athletic, and stronger. I just think he has a better arm, and he's just better than them.
Yeah. Now in center field, Harrison Bader, Brian Reynolds, and Jackie Bradley Jr. Then again, to me, and probably to you, this one's really obvious, honestly. You don't really even have to be a Cardinals fan. Harrison Bader, he's probably the best defensive outfielder in baseball right now. It's just he is so fast. He tracks every ball down. He has a really good arm. And, he leads in defensive runs saved. He leads all outfielders with a +13 OAA. Jackie Bradley Jr. is pretty good defensively. Brian Reynolds had a really good season on the Pirates, actually. He was an all-star. But still, Harrison Bader is just on a different level.
Yeah, Bader hasn't won one yet, so that's
which is
another
surprising.
reason for me to pick him. I mean, he finally has a chance here, and he's leading in both statistics that we're talking about here, so I think it's just going to go to Bader because he deserves one for sure.
That's definitely, again, a bit of a Cardinal bias, but to me personally, that's kind of obvious. Now in right field, we have Mookie Betts, Adam Duvall, and Mike Ostrimsky. Adam Duvall has a really solid arm. He has a decent glove. Mookie Betts, he's won it a couple times, even though he's actually had a down year offensively in L.A. And Mike Ostrimsky, he also had a pretty down year. I believe he's the grandson of MLB great Carl Ostrimsky, won the Triple Crown in 1956. But this one's honestly kind of tough for me. But Mike Ostrimsky leads with +7 OAA. But Adam Duvall leads the 3 with outfield assists. And to me, OAA is more important than outfield assists because, I don't know, it just seems like it's more flexible of a stat. So, because I'll go with Ostrimsky.
I'm going to go with Betts. He may not have the stats, but I've seen him for years. He's elite in every way for the Dodgers there in right field. So I'm just going to go with Betts.
Now a quick recap there because that'll conclude the Gold Glove segments. For pitchers, we both had Max Fried. Catchers, Jacob Stallings. First base, Max Muncy. Second base, Colton Wong. Third base, Arenado. Shortstop, I had Brandon Crawford. You had Francisco Lendore. Left field, Tyler O'Neill. Center field, Harrison Bader. And in right, Mookie Betts and Mike Ostrimsky.
Yeah, we were the same on a lot of those.
Yeah, because, honestly.
We just kind of looked at the stats.
Yeah.
That's who we picked a lot of the time, or we had bias at the Cardinals. And we got to give credit to the Cardinals as they had
a good defense.
6 guys on this list for potential winners here.
Yeah, which this is a pretty long episode. Yeah. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up, right?
Yep.
Right.
So this will probably be it for a while for MLB as we will transition to NBA and NFL on this podcast for a while. We may have an off-season kind of recap of what's happened for MLB. If any big news has happened for MLB, we might step in, have someone else on. But until then, we'll see you for next season for MLB.
Let's go.